Hello everyone, this is Yaux here, and today, for my 100th subscriber special, I am revisiting one of my favorite decks of all time, SOULTAKER Shadow. Really, 100 subscribers! When I first started out, I did not expect to actually get all of this support from all of you guys, and really I greatly appreciate all of you for subscribing and supporting this channel. And well, if you're new to this channel and haven't subscribed yet, please do. My next goal is 200 subscribers, so be sure to leave a like and subscribe. But enough of the self-promotion, let's talk about the deck. This is SOULTAKER Shadow. This isn't like the previous SOULTAKER Shadow that I actually posted on this channel, the one that runs Cerberus and cheats SOULTAKER on turn 6 with a suboptimal board. No, this time we are actually getting a good board with Sharon, Abyssal Colonel, Mordecai, and either Sweet Soul or Leeds. Leeds being the preferred follower to resummon using SOULTAKER since she draws you a card and also she can auto evolve. And our finisher is usually Deathly Tyrant's Feast on whatever Shadowcraft follower remains on field after my opponent's turn. So how does this actually compare to my previous deck? Well, the Cerberus version, well, this time you can actually use Deathly Tyrant's Feast. This deck generates a ton of shadows and doesn't use any of them. No, none of my cards have Necromancy except for Deathly Tyrant's Feast. And that is the main payoff. Use it on Mordecai, use it on Departed SOULTAKER, or whatever sticky minion is left after your opponent's turn, and swing phase for 10 plus a lot of damage. And the rest of the deck is really simple. The core cards are the last few, the high-end Mordecai, Abyssal Colonel, Departed SOULTAKER. It is a good idea to have Mordecai, 3 copies of Mordecai since it makes tossing him a lot easier. 2 copies isn't a bad idea, but it's better to have 3 copies of Departed SOULTAKER since he's your main win con, 3 copies of Abyssal, cause he's just a good card in general. And I mean, you're gonna bury him anyways. It's a good thing if you can draw him, so to fuel some of your burial rites. Then we have all our burial rites. The Sweet Soul, Spectral Storm helps toss away your high cost minion, get them in the pool for Departed SOULTAKER to resummon later on. And then we have our standard draw engine, Wayfaring and well, Night Terror Colossals. One new card I actually added to this deck in this new expansion is actually Kyrie, Fragment of Hope. Kyrie is essentially a 1 play point follower that has there's also a 5/5 ward that draws 2 followers, meaning either Olivia, Sylvia, Sharon, SOULTAKER, whatever. It's a very good source of draw, a target for evolve points which you can use with Olivia and Sylvia, and also a ward body that defends you in the middle game / early game, which this deck really sucks at. Like, this deck is terrible in the early game. Like, you lose board control, no way you're actually fighting. It's really hard for you to fight for it. But once turn 8 hits and Departed SOULTAKER stats drop, your board is nigh unkillable. And I don't know if I said this already, but essentially, I have only lost 1 game out of all the games I played after I dropped SOULTAKER on 8. And that is to control Bahamut Dragon, where my Deathly Tyrant's Feast is actually on the bottom of my deck. Both of them, literally last 2 cards. Like, literally any time before that, I might actually have a shot at winning. One of the strongest play you can make with this deck possibly in the early game is on turn 2. If you're going first, is to drop Abyssal Colonel Crystallize. While this is strong because this means that Abyssal Colonel will come out on turn 7, which essentially bridges your turn 6 to turn 8 turn. Turn 6, one of your strongest plays is to use Sharon to reanimate Mordecai and preferably evolve him. So if you could find Mordecai and bury him 3 times before Sharon comes down, well, that it will be amazing since Mordecai will also help you bridge your turn 7 turn. And that is essentially all there is for this deck. You can see 1 copy of Wing Inversion here. You can cut it for something else. I put it here because I'm scared of Masquerade Ghosts, and well, that's all it is. It's just another deck card that you can throw away for something else. But that is all for this deck. Hope you enjoy this deck as much as I do. QR codes up top. Decklist is also in the description. Remember to leave a like, leave a subscribe, and let's get on with the gameplay. Now obviously with this SOULTAKER deck, it's still known that our early game isn't that strong, but Kyrie actually does elevate that problem a little bit with his amazing stats as well as a war body. Right now, we actually got a pretty decent hand. I started off with Abyssal Colonel in my starting hand, which I absolutely want to keep. Mordecai is a pretty decent barrel right target, which I actually held, hoping that I'll draw one of my barrel right cards, which I did indeed. Since I'm going first, Abyssal Colonel on 2 ensures that he pops on 7, which will help in our defense against Machina Portal over here. So Machina Portal usually have a lot of strong plays on turn 7. Abyssal Colonel completely shuts that down, especially since I'm not gonna be doing any special shenanigans that pop him out very early on. Right here, I'm surprised that they didn't actually have, what was it? The new Machina card introduced in this expansion, which I was fine. I was drawing, I was cycling, all's good. I have the board in even. So now they go for a Liu play. They don't have the the reporter yet, which is pretty good for me considering the fact that I am a slower deck and I'm very board based. The fact that most of their followers doesn't have Storm is pretty good news. They're fusing a lot, which for some reason almost makes me mistake this for Evolve Portal. I mean, this looks like it, right? They are playing all those evolves. They weren't evolving now, but I would have mistook this for Evolve Portal. But anyways, I draw my second Abyssal Colonel. It's not needed anymore, so I just buried him away. Of course, I have these goals that I just use as Night Terror targets, draw a little bit more, got more cards, resources to throw away, Burial Right, Sacrifice. It's pretty good. Everything's going good. He haven't did a single point of damage to me yet. And I believe, is Gretina coming down next turn? Maybe the turn after that. I feel like he's a little bit slow right now, but I don't think it's coming down next turn, but it's definitely the turn after that. Actually, let's be sure, let's just check. Yep, it's at 6, so even if I kill this follower right here, they will not be invoking Gretina. But I didn't because I was holding for a Sharon. They played double Warden, which I don't know how to feel about that. It seems like a pretty weak play. And with the Mikael invoke Abyssal Colonel as well as Sharon that I'm playing right now, this is actually a really easy board clear. I believe Mordecai auto evolves. Yes, he auto evolves right now. He's basically a free trade into any follower that I choose. And then Sharon trades him for free and Abyssal Colonel gets to go face. I even use Mordecai as a Night Terror target since he's gonna die anyways, and I rather get a draw off when I can. And look at this. He plays Kaiserreal. He hasn't invoked Gretina yet, which is very strange. But anyways, Abyssal Colonels absolutely stopped him right here. Even if he had Gretina, he might have attacked with Gretina, but I would have only taken 5 damage, which would have been more than enough for me to get into my departed SOULTAKER turn. With my second Mikael invo, I managed to kill the Warden, and this board is beautiful. It's way better than the Cerberus one. I actually had survivability, Mordecai, Abyssal Colonel, and Sharon all are cards that have some sort of pseudo ward that prevents me from dying. They played Journey to the Past, like what the who plays that card in Machina Portal? Just play Gilas. I think he's playing some sort of like budget version, but even Gilas couldn't save him here. Because this ward is nigh unkillable. Abyssal Colonel basically kills 2 followers. Like look at this, what can they do? Mordecai protects face from any burn damage. This board is pretty disgusting. Machina Portal down. Now I did mention that this deck had some issues with aggressive decks, and this time I'm actually going to put it to a test against Ghost Shadow. Maybe I got lucky with my draws this time, maybe I got lucky with my attacks, but honestly, it's actually a pretty cool game, like just to see what this deck could actually do. if all the stars align. This time I did not draw Abyssal Colonel off the top. I actually got a pretty sad draw with Mikael, Night Terrors, no Barrel Rats inside, and I have to pass my first 2 turns. And my opponent didn't pass his second turn but did pass his first, and he is Ghost Shadow, which makes this a little bit of an issue for me. Right now I top that Wayfaring Goblin, which means I can Corral Souls and easily clear Bakirus as well as go face for 1 damage. The main point is I already got the draw. Next turn I can go Mikael into Night Terrors. I did draw Wing Inversion, which is very important against Ghost Shadow since they run Masquerade Ghost, who has the last words to be summoned at the start of your opponent's next turn, and that is something that we do not want our opponent to do. Of course, I just take this chance to draw even more. Like, look at this amount of cards. The reason why I didn't crystallize Abyssal Colonel here is because turn 4 is way too late to crystallize Abyssal Colonel. You'll get him out on turn 9, and that's way past SOULTAKER turn. I rather Barrel Ride him at this point in the game, which is why I played Kyrie looking for Barrel Rides, and since I did get a Barrel Ride, I evolved him just to so he's an additional ward. And I use this extra mana to bury Abyssal Colonel. And since I have mana, I just Corral Souls, draw a little bit more as well, go face with the ghost. Honestly, I was hoping to draw SOULTAKER here, but since I didn't, now I need to hope not to draw SOULTAKER and not mill SOULTAKER. And as expected, Masquerade Ghost comes down. Evolve his ghost to trade in, and it might be a questionable play, but I am prepared with Wing Inversion. This makes sure that Masquerade Ghost is not coming back, and I sacrifice Mikael to look for more cards, and then I just use Sharon's Accelerate to get rid of to bury my deck guy directly from deck, as well as to set up for, well, not really set up for anything, but I just have Sharon ready to evolve next turn. I'm pretty low at this point in the game. My opponent has already banished 6 followers. If they banish their next, if they play banishment next turn, I will take like 8 plus the 2. But I did get Mordecai. His effect is not active anyways. But I did manage to use him to trade in, and with Mikael's effect, I'm at 11 hit points, which is still a very dangerous hit point to be at, but is relatively safe since they don't have Masquerade Ghost. If they have Masquerade Ghost, it's a completely different story. And since they don't have Masquerade Ghost, they actually had a little bit of issue dealing with my board. And look at this, these plays are pretty sad. Like, but they're Ghost Shadow. I don't feel bad for them at all. And I just love that voice line. This is probably this is probably one of my favorite decks to play. Like, it really is my favorite. This is so fun. It's not good, but every time you play it, you just get a great sense of satisfaction when you pull this off. Look, even Ghastly Banishment, it doesn't do much because Mordecai just tanks it. Start or turn effects doesn't matter. Mordecai tanks it like an absolute unit. And since, of course, this is why you run Deathly Tyrant's Feast in this deck, you get a lot of shadows generated from Departed SOULTAKER, which for turn 9 Deathly Tyrant's Feast leads to an OTK really easily. Ghost Shadow down. But now, we all want to know at least how this deck fared against Havencraft, one of probably, if not the strongest classes right now in Shadowverse. So, ideally, I will be going first and I'll be having Abyssal Colonel in hand. If you're going second with Abyssal Colonel in hand, it's not that bad, but you're already fighting against a turn 8 board with the Abyssal Colonel, which honestly isn't too terrible. I didn't get a pretty amazing hand. This is, in my eyes, a very bad hand. But since I got so many Spectral Storms, I decided to go for it. I risked it. I buried a copy of Departed SOULTAKER as well as my Olivia and Sylvia to get my draws in. And I did get Abyssal Colonel, which at this point is too late. If he had came like 1 turn earlier, I would have been loved to play him. Now I was looking for more cards as well, and since I couldn't find any other cards, I just buried the Abyssal Colonel because, well, I need to get my draws in while I still can get my draws in. Like, at a point in the game, I will be probably too stressed to actually get any of my draws in anymore. I did draw Leech, which is a burial right card, and it sucks absolutely because Leech does not do enough damage to kill Agent of Commandments. Unless he trades in, but he chose not to. Like, oh my god, it's like I'm just one damage short and I've never been so pissed. Until I drew my second Leech, which presented with me a little bit of a conundrum, and I need to bury Sharon, and which I decide is worth it just in case they play Illuvia next turn. And since Y5 evolves, Burial Rites is actually active already, Leech auto evolves, becomes 3/4 that draws me cards, which is perfectly fine. I love it. My opponent is playing a bit weird. I have no idea what they are doing. Like, really, it's very odd. Maybe this isn't a good deck of Haven, but like Haven is still strong. So I'll still like play on with this game, hoping that they'll do something very special that makes my win feels more justified. I got more leads, I get more free evolves, and I just get more cards. They're pretty good. They play Iradel, which is a very... I haven't seen Iradel being played in the current days version of Hugh Haven, but I don't mind. Every turn they spam playing a bad card means less good cards for me to deal with. I was looking for probably my last Burial Rite, I believe, but I didn't find it. I used my Sharon's Accelerator because I already have a Sharon in the pool. And now this turn they have to go John and find a way to kill me somehow. They didn't, but they did find a way to set up a pretty decent board. But my board will always be stronger with Departed SOULTAKER, and man, I can play this deck forever, you know. I can just play this deck forever. Well, that card isn't active, just so you know, but he will become active upon being resummoned by his new last words that is given their SOULTAKER. Well, look at them actually try to clear this board. They did a commendable effort. They have Holy Kitty as well, and they were surely hoping that my Abyssal Colonel's last word hits Imperial Saint so that, well, they get a 4/8 Storm Ward, but it didn't. And it ended with this board state. I top deck Deathly Tyrant's Feast, and well, Deathly Tyrant's Feast on the Mordecai. I was scared I misplayed here, but I didn't. And this is a win against Hugh Haven that didn't draw their Illuvia, which is a little bit sad for them. But you know what? I'll take it. And that is it from this deck. SOULTAKER Shadow is actually a really fun deck. It's a little bit lacking in the middle game, but once side game brings more Shadowcraft or even neutral control cards, this deck will surely become better. In fact, yeah, I'm really happy to be sharing this, to be able to share this list with you guys. I hope that you guys have as much fun playing this deck list as I did. If you enjoy this style of videos, be sure to leave a like, leave a subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.